I'm someone who watches a lot of movies. It comes with the job of being a film critic. Every week of the year, new releases arrive in theaters nationwide, all battling for the big screens and audiences' attention. Moviegoing audiences are the lifeblood of the cinematic experience. By paying to see movies in theaters, you're directly supporting both the backbone of film itself, but also keeping the theatrical experience alive. And so many of the films that arrive in theaters are deserving of the support, as they showcase so much depth and nuance behind every action and intent. There are other movies, however, that do the exact opposite. The rise of big-budget films within the last few years have paved the way for cheap theatrical experiences that might leave audiences with something entertaining and engaging, but don't really leave them with anything complex or nuanced to mull over after watching. Most of that contemplation is saved for indie films, which showcase thematic insight and depth, but ultimately don't receive the same love and admiration that many mainstream films do. The secret to success, then, is a perfect pairing of the two genres. The perfect pairing for a film is a film that features so many of the big-budget flourishes and style of many of those mainstream blockbuster-type films, but also carrying an intelligent and thought-provoking angle that is found in independent cinema. However, such a combination of the two is not an easy task to accomplish. As a film critic, my primary goal is to showcase, recommend, and analyze the craft of filmmaking in order to alert audiences what is worth checking out. And through this job and hobby, it has allowed me to unearth films that are truly special, which is an incredible feeling. When going to the theater week after week, month after month, and year after year as a film critic, you have to sit through a lot of trash, to put it lightly. Films might be good, mediocre, or bad, but many don't leave you feeling entirely fulfilled or satisfied in the way that some of the most well-regarded and renowned films can. But when you go to the movie theater and finally unearth one of these types of films, it's a special kind of feeling that can't be put into proper words. Your heart swells, you feel the impact deep inside, and above all, you are reminded of why you love movies so much. And this is exactly the type of feeling that washed over me while watching Ryan Coogler's newest film, Sinners, which hits theaters this Friday. Now, I've been a big fan of Ryan Coogler and his work for years. His 2013 film Fruitvale Station was a masterclass in independent filmmaking, which paved the way for bigger and better projects, including 2015's Creed and both of the Black Panther films in 2018 and 2022 respectively. His tight and controlled style of filmmaking is mixed with astounding writing skill that truly makes his films feel incredibly well-rounded and developed in every sense of the word. And it's a true statement to say that there really is nobody doing it quite as well as Ryan Coogler in this day and age. And this is precisely what was going through my head as I prepared to watch Sinners. Knowing next to nothing about its plot, content, or exactly what it was, I was fully prepared to give my attention over to Coogler, as I knew deep down he would not disappoint or let me down. And he continued that streak with near flawless ease here. Sinners follows the story of two identical twins, Smoke and Stack, played in dual performances both by Michael B. Jordan, who both returned back to their hometown in the deep south of Mississippi in 1932 after a big stint in Chicago. The two men return back to their hometown with an air of promise and hope as they buy up an abandoned warehouse and plan to open a juke bar to host a party that evening. With the preparations set, the people arriving, and the music and drinks flowing, Smoke, Stack, their younger cousin Sammy, and the rest of the townsfolk are unprepared as strangers show up at their doorstep, demanding to be let in and harboring dark secrets of their own. You see, Smoke and Stack might have made it back to their hometown unscathed, but something dark followed them as well. If you guessed Sinners was a horror movie based on that plot synopsis, you'd be right, but not in the traditional sense of the word. You see, Sinners sure does feature jump scares, moments of terror and peril, and yes, it is about vampires. And yes, Sinners includes graphic gore and grotesque imagery that might even make the toughest people among audiences wince once or twice. However, Sinners succeeds as a film because, although it raises so many of the classic tropes and pitfalls of the genre, it remains entirely its own thing. To try to describe Sinners in any sense of one word feels near impossible. It's genreless and unable to be bound to one specific descriptor or word because it's so many different things. It's equal parts scary, horrifying, thrilling, poignant, and thought-provoking in one foul swoop. Rather, what makes Sinners so effortlessly terrifying and enthralling is a sense of dread that seeps into every single frame of this film. So much of the horror on display here is conveyed in moments that aren't outright meant to be terrifying, which is incredible. Conversations between characters, moments of quiet stealth, and lively music are given a punch due to how Coogler and his team frame and film every moment here, which makes for incredibly impactful moments that feel effortlessly timeless. You see, Sinners is very much a horror movie about a group of humans struggling to keep vampires from their sanctuary as the night deepens. But it's also so much more than just that. It's an exploration about how we all seek to put good out into the world through our talents, and to great effect in so many instances. Sharing our gifts and talents with the world is one of the most profound and impactful ways to spread joy and peace wherever we go. But on the reverse of this, it can also attract a great evil. This is why we must seek to combat that evil, which seeks to prevent us from sharing our joy with the world. But this evil can also come from within. We all struggle with our own personal pitfalls and shortcomings. Nobody's perfect, as the classic saying goes. Sometimes that hurt hurt and evil can manifest inside of us, destroying and warping everything around us in the process. However, when we seek to combat that evil by sharing our gifts and talents with the world and overcoming any obstacle we might face in the process, we create a world and environment that remains positive for all. And we see this exemplified by so much of what the character of Sammy experiences throughout the film, as he feels called to a passion of music that is looked down upon by his father, who is a preacher. But it's by sharing these gifts with the world that, although it makes many happy and joyful, it also attracts something truly evil and menacing to his presence. The way Coogler portrays music as being a life-changing and altering force is nothing short of sheer movie magic here. As someone raised and trained in classical music, the sequences where we see Sammy and the characters partake in the magic of songwriting are among the highlights of the film by far, including a jaw-dropping scene where Coogler portrays music's power to capture the past and the future in such an incredible and jaw-dropping way. Coogler raises so much thematic depth and nuance here, particularly within the first hour, that is juxtaposed by so much brutality as the horror movie elements slowly blend with this. Sinners fires on all cylinders is a thought-provoking horror flick, which is something we truly don't get anymore in this day and age. Each moment of this is pumped with adrenaline while also retaining a tranquil and almost meditative beauty, which makes for an experience unlike anything I positively ever seen before. Michael B. Jordan does fantastic work as the dual leads Smoke and Stack, lending distinct character nuances and flourishes to each character that make him feel entirely different yet also strangely familiar. Hailee Steinfeld does great work as Mary, an accomplice of the two men who harbors dark secrets of her own. Filmmaking on display from Coogler is mentioned as tight and stylized, and the cinematography juxtaposes so much of the harsh and dark setting and atmosphere with an almost dreamlike quality that bathe audiences into a surreal and often conflicting setting. The movie was shot on film stock, including select portions in IMAX 70mm film, and seeing it in premium formats, specifically IMAX, is a must-do if you're seeing this movie. There are about 20 minutes or so of full IMAX aspect ratio used here and is used masterfully. Ludwig Göransson's score is otherworldly, and he continues to do incredible work when collaborating with Ryan Coogler. His music almost becomes a character within the film, capturing distinct southern harmonies and flourishes with a menacing and often overbearing quality that intensifies and impacts so many scenes within the film. Sinners does so much on a masterful level, and the film is nearly flawless in so many areas. But alas, as previously mentioned, nobody or nothing is perfect, which is sadly the case for this film as well. One tiny detail that stuck out to me is how heavily the final hour leans into classic horror-like tendencies. For a film that prides itself on and executes the premise in such a unique and fresh way, the real truth of the matter is that the third act leans into areas that feel almost derivative in a sense of the word. There are portions of this film that feel like stock horror movie moments, from poor character choices that feel outside of the characterization that has been built up thus far, to different moments and flourishes that feel inspired by other film properties, to a third act climax that feels almost done before in a sense. And while this is noticeable and distracting in a few key areas throughout, the real truth of the matter, and the reason why it's ultimately not really a problem here, is because Coogler pulls it off incredibly well. Like, yeah, we've seen a lot of this vampire stuff before in other film and television properties, and it's not entirely original in that aspect, but the way that it's done here is so wholly fresh and original and unique, and that's what's so magical about a film like Sinners. To say this is one of my favorite films of 2025 thus far is a fact, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it still towards the top of my ranked list by the end of this year. It succeeds as not just an intellectual and thought-provoking piece of cinema, but an engaging and enthralling horror flick that seeks to subvert so much of the tropes of the genre and redefines them in a sense. Sometimes I'll watch a movie and think to myself, I wonder if we'll still be talking about this years from now. And with a film as timeless, masterful, and ultimately impactful as Sinners is, I expect we will. That's why I'm giving Sinners a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this review on my channel. If you're new around here and you like the content you see, don't forget to click that subscribe button down below, like the video, and turn on push notifications. Also, leave comment suggestions down below for future video, essay, and review topics. With that being said, until next time, this is Mitchell signing off. Peace out.